Okay. Hi everyone. Today I'd like to present my topic entitled Monitoring and Assessment, which is an important part of curriculum design as explained by Nation and McAllister 2010. In this presentation, I'll discuss the role, guidelines, and types of monitoring and assessment in language learning. According to Nation and McAllister, the role of monitoring and assessment is to help teachers decide what to test and how to test. These decisions should always be informed by three key aspects: the environment, learners' needs, and principles. There are also two main purposes of assessment. First is informational, which provides data on learners' progress and knowledge. And second is affective, which supports learner motivation and gives encouragement. Here is the guidelines of monitoring and assessment. The first is environment factors. For the learners' aspects, learners should feel good about their progress. Monitoring and assessment should build confidence, not create fear or pressure. So the examples here are use progress charts or self-assessment journals so learners see their improvement. And for the teachers should be able to assess and correct outcomes effectively and must have enough time to do so. The examples here, teachers should avoid giving too many long essays to mark weekly, use peer assessment or automated quizzes to save time. And the last is situation. The assessment should be economical, that is not too costly or time consuming. It may need to match external tests required by ministries, schools, or test agencies. The examples are align school tests with national exams or institutional standards while keeping them simple to administer. So for the environment factors, assessment must fit the teaching context. It's talking about people, time, budget, and external demands. The second is needs factors. There are three type of needs factors here. The first is lacks. Here, the course should show that the learners are increasing their knowledge of the language. Knowledge that they didn't know before. So here, the examples are a vocabulary quiz at the start and at the end of the unit to show growth. And the second is wants. The course should show that learners are achieving what they personally want to do with English. The learners here, the example here is learners who want to improve speaking could keep audio journals and reflect on their fluency. And the last is necessities. The course should show that the learners are getting better at real-life tasks they will do after the course. So here the examples are for tourism students, for example, role-play conversations with guests, and for accounting students, for examples, writing financial reports in English. So in the needs factors, assessment must measure what learners need most, both personal goals and professional demands. And the last is principles factors. Nation and McAllister highlight two core teaching and learning principles relevant to the assessment. The first is learners should be interested and excited about learning. Here, it means that assessments should be engaging, meaningful, and relevant, not just formal tests. The second is learners should receive helpful feedback which will allow them to improve the quality of their language use. Here, assessments should help improvement, not just give grades. So here the teacher should provide constructive comments, self-reflection opportunities, and peer feedback. So when we focusing on the environment, assessment should be practical, affordable, and suitable for the specific context, which ensures feasibility. And when we focusing on learners' needs, assessment should evaluate what students still lack, what they want, and what they need to achieve by ensuring relevance. And the last is from the principal's perspective, assessment should motivate students and provide constructive feedback, promoting motivation and learning. There are 6 types of assessment. First is placement assessment. The second is observation learning. Third is short-term achievement assessment. The fourth is diagnostic assessment. The fifth is achievement assessment. And the last is proficiency assessment. Let's go through each of them one by one. The first is placement assessment. This type is used at the beginning of the course to place students at the right level or class. It should be brief, friendly, quick, and focused so that students feel comfortable. Common examples include the vocabulary level test, structured interviews, and closed tests. The second type of assessment is observation of learning. This assessment focuses on whether learning activities are achieving their intended goals. Teachers can ask several key questions. The first is, what is the goal of the activity? The second is what are the conditions for learning? The third is what observable signs of learning are there? And the fourth is what are the features of activity design? Common tools of this type of assessment include classroom observation, learner diaries, and group feedback. The third is short-term achievement assessment. This involves regular checks such as daily or weekly assessment. The main purpose of this type of assessment is to give feedback and maintain learners' motivation. The examples include reading speed charts, writing improvement graphs, and other forms of progress tracking using tests, performance records, or self-assessments. The fourth type of assessment is diagnostic assessment. This type helps identify learner strengths, weaknesses, and learning gaps. The results are valuable because they can shape course design and help students set personal learning goals. The examples of this type of assessments include vocabulary levels test, learner self-assessment, and analysis of language use. The fifth type of assessment is achievement assessment. This usually takes place at the end of a course or in the middle of the course. It is criterion referenced, meaning that it measures how well learners meet specific objectives. Sometimes, mastery testing is used, allowing repeated attempts until high criteria are met. A key benefit of this type of assessment is the washback effect, which motivates learners and influences teaching positively. And the last type of assessment is proficiency assessment. This type is independent of the course content and measures a learner's overall language knowledge. The examples of this type of assessments include international tests like TOEFL and IELTS. It may use both criterion referenced and norm-referenced approaches. This type also has a strong washback effects on both teaching and learning practices. Regardless of the type, good assessment must have three essential qualities. The first is reliability. The results should be consistent and objective. The second is validity. The test must truly measure what it claims to measure. And the third is practicality. It should be feasible in terms of cost, time, and scoring. So, to summarize, monitoring and assessment should align with the environment, learners' needs, and principles. They should also include multiple forms, which is from placement to proficiency assessment, and ensure reliability, validity, and practicality. Overall, effective monitoring and assessment are essential for both course improvement and learner motivation. Okay, thank you for your attention. I hope this presentation helps us understand that monitoring and assessment are not just about testing, but also about supporting learning, motivation, and continuous improvement in the classroom.